Hello and welcome to this edition of VG Facts 5 Trivia. Today we're looking at trivia surrounding the topic of censorship, so let's jump straight in. Bravely Default was considered by traditional turn-based RPG fans to be a shining moment for the 3DS. When the game was announced for international release, it's not surprising that Square Enix decided to re-examine content for the game and make some changes. When the regional changes to the game were announced, many people became angry at the implication that Western audiences should receive anything less than the full experience of the original game with no cuts. However, once it came to light what it was that was being changed, well, needless to say, many people retracted their complaints. While being translated, it was decided to change the ages of several characters in the game. Many characters had their ages boosted by about 3 years to make them over 18. Not only that, but a few of the characters' outfits were changed to be less revealing and a bit more modest. In addition to this, a portion of the game's dialogue was changed to contain less sexual innuendo and racy jokes. It's not surprising that these things were changed, and I'm sure that a number of people will agree that this sort of thing shouldn't have been in the game to begin with. Underage girls in skimpy clothing making sexual references to each other isn't exactly something that many people in the world would complain about not having. The Game Boy exclusive spin-off of the Final Fantasy games, Final Fantasy Legend 2, contains a scene in which the player encounters a band of criminals who are smuggling a large stash of bananas. The reason this seems ridiculous is because bananas aren't exactly an illegal drug, which is exactly what they were smuggling in the original Japanese version. It seems that when the game was brought to the West, someone decided it would be wise to change the fact that these guys were smuggling opium. Opium is a dried latex that is extracted from an opium poppy, and famously known for being a major ingredient in the highly addictive and restricted drug heroin. Adventure Time, Explore the Dungeon Because I Don't Know, is a game that not only features a ridiculous title, but also the characters from the beloved animated series Adventure Time. As such, the game's dialogue features a similar writing style to that found within the TV series. There's only one actual bit of censorship found within the game, and it takes place during the scene in which Flame Princess is first encountered. She will call Princess Bubblegum a tart. This was removed when the game was published in Europe, resulting her simply being cut off by Lumpy Space Princess.
You tried to destroy me, you tart!
Oh my god! Oh, Flame Princess! You should slap Princess Bubblegum in the face!
You tried to destroy me, you—
Oh my god! Oh, Flame Princess! You should slap—
The reason for this cut is because the word tart is an old-fashioned British slang term for prostitute or somebody with a loose sense of sexual morals. Brave Fencer Musashi features a lot of humor, even in how the characters are named. During its translation, certain characters with themed names were changed to be a little bit more fitting for Western audiences. Most of these changes weren't censorship as such, but rather just a means of improving the humor for a different demographic. However, one group of themed characters had their names changed because of issues with the US and other ratings board, as well as the game's distributor. The game's group of antagonists, the Thirst Quencher Empire, were named after various soda pop names in the English translation of the game. In the Japanese game, however, these characters were actually named after various types of alcoholic drink and were instead called the Liquor Empire. For example, Flatsky was originally called Tequila, Bubbles was called Brandy, Ginger Ale was named Liquor, and Colonel Capriciola was called John Walker, as a reference to the Johnny Walker whiskey. D was a survival horror game created in 1995 that was considered to be an extremely visual, disturbing game. This story isn't so much a retelling of a game that was censored, but rather of one that was almost censored. Because of the game's graphic imagery, the game's head developer, Kenji Ino, resorted to abusing the approval process of the game's industry. During development, D featured no storyline. Ino kept all the story sequences found in the game a secret from the press, and even a number of the members of staff at Warp, the development studio creating the game. After completion, Ino submitted a clean version of the game for approval. This version of the game didn't feature the violent imagery or story elements found in the final release. However, after this was approved, Ino submitted the master discs late. The master discs are essentially the full retail copies of a game that would be duplicated for consumers to then buy. He knew that submitting the discs late meant he would have to deliver the discs by hand himself to the manufacturers located in the United States. While on the plane to deliver the discs, Ino switched out the storyless, clean discs with the version of the game we know today. Graphic imagery and disturbing narrative intact. By doing this, Ino was effectively able to release the game entirely uncensored without any confrontation from the game's publishers. That's about it for today, but if you'd like to see future videos, why not subscribe here on YouTube, or you can follow VG Facts on Facebook and Twitter. And just for a quick note before you go, some of you might be unaware that VG Facts announced a show called Region Locked a while ago that covered regional differences between games. This show is still planned for production, but as VG Facts is only a small independent team with pre-existing commitments, it's taking a while to prepare everything necessary to create Region Locked at this time. Thank you for your understanding and continued patience on this matter.